In one of my most successful videos, I was comparing all the different Quinacridone Gold hues that I have because I had no original PO49. In a later video, I have swatched this wonderful PO49 that I have bought from Della Magna Watercolors. But today I would like to do two things. I would like to recreate hue similar to the original PO49, and I will use the formulation used by these brands and also more formulations that have been suggested by some followers that you don't find premixed in a convenience Quinacridone Gold premixed. I will swatch the original PO49 next to these hues, just so you can see the difference. Sorry, this has nothing to do. This is Quinacridone Gold by Della Magna. I always make mistakes. You see, it's really glowing, slightly orangey. I wouldn't say that the hues exactly match these colors, but some of them are still very beautiful, but they're not the same. So this is the original PO49 and these are the hues. Let's see if we can recreate a Quinacridone Gold hue with our own mixes. So I have put away my Quinacridone Gold hues and I will swatch again the PO49 original in this box. You see that there are full of corrections because I always make mistakes. I'm the less perfectionist person on earth. Such a beautiful color. It's out of stock at the moment, but I've read on the Instagram profile that they are going to restock it. So if you're interested, you can find, you can probably put your email address on their e-commerce website so that they will let you know when this is available. I'm buying one more pan, I'm sure. It's too beautiful. Okay, so this is the original. Let's start with the Sennelier mix. It's the one that I have in my go-to palette. Here I have all the colors that I need for these mixes. And I will start with PR101 Burnt Sienna by Windsor and Newton, Nickel Azo Yellow, and I will use Transparent Yellow by Windsor and Newton, and PR206, which unfortunately is going to disappear from the market because it has been discontinued. So maybe we should try a formulation here with the PR179 instead of PR206. But let's start with this. I will mix directly on paper. Let me wet this. I don't have much of this burnt sienna, but I will put some burnt sienna here. It's a burnt sienna made with PR101. I have to rebuy this. Then I will put some yellow, and this is Nickel Azo Yellow PY150 that in matte stone is very dark, but it gets cooler once washed out. And then I will put this very dark PR206. Mix them. I think it's a nice mix actually. Of course, we have to judge when it's dry, and once washed down, you can clearly see that this yellow is much cooler than Quinacridone Gold, that stays earthy and warm even when washed out. But let's see when this dries. I think that in mustard it's more satisfactory, but in diluted wash it's a bit colder. This PY, I forgot the Y here. I will add it later. Okay, let's go to next mix, which is the formulation used by Windsor and Newton, and they still have some Nickel yellow, PV19, and I have Rembrandt Quinacridone Rose, reddish. I hope you know that it's very variable, this pigment PV19, and PR206 that I have in this big, large tube. Let's see what happens. Maybe I should have pre-wetted. It was maybe pre-wet. This is too orangey. Let me add more yellow. This looks like a pure 48, because the PR206 is really strong. It's really overpowering. It's beautiful color, but it's too leaning towards orange. Let me see, diluted. Of course, the ratio of the three different pigments can really vary. I will add slightly more yellow. Yeah, slightly orangey, but lovelier than maybe previous mix once dry. Now that this is dry, Sennelier mix, it's not so cool, the wash. Let's see what happens to this one. Maybe I put too much 206, so it's leaning towards orange. Let's see the Schmincke version. They use PY150 with PR101. I will start with some yellow. You see this PY150, it's great yellow, but it's cooler than Quinacridone Gold, but it's used as a mixing yellow in all pre-made formulas. And then we shall add some burnt sienna made with PR101, not with PBR7. It's a nice choice. So it's basically the same formula of Sennelier, but without the PR206 Quinacridone Maroon. It's just red iron oxide PR101 and nickel yellow. This is very nice in mudstone and washes down to a cool yellow, but once again I'm insisting, this one once dry is not so cool. Let's wait. Then we have a very common formula, and it is always PY150 but coupled with Quinacridone Burnt Orange PO48, which unfortunately has been discontinued as well. So this mix doesn't have a very long life. And this is the mix used by Daniel Smith A Gallo, M gram, core, very common formulation. The majority of brand will use this mix. Now that it is wet, it leans towards orange, but it is a quinacridone color, so it's not granulating, whereas PR101 can be slightly granulating. And it's a lovely mix. It's a lovely mix. Same problem, PY150 is very cool once diluted, but maybe it's not so cool once it dries. Then we have a very interesting formula, which is Michael Harding Quinacridone Bronze. They also have a Quinacridone Gold made, I think, with PO48, but this is bronze, and the colors that they're using, they are not being discontinued, so it's very interesting. Let's start with our usual PY150. Then they use Quinacridone Red PR209 and Quinacridone Rose PV19. Let's add PR209. And I will add some PV19 here. Quinacridone Rose. And this one also works quite well as a mixture. Of course, once again, there is a human error. I will add maybe more PV19 here. And some more PR209, but it works actually. I think it works. Slightly darker in mustard. Oh, I might have ruined it. I love mixing up paper. And this is the mix used by Michael Harding in Quinacridone Bronze. It's not Michael Harding hue, it's a mix that I have recreated mixing my own paint, not even Michael Harding paint. And then there is two very interesting mixes that have been suggested by a couple of followers. And they don't use PY150, but they use PY129, which is Azomethine Azo Green Yellow PY129, and it is a greenish yellow that's very nice, very transparent. I use it a lot for glazing. It's one of my favorite newfound colors. And I will mix it with burnt sienna first. And let's see what happens. Very curious. And it doesn't dilute to that cool yellow that we saw with PY150, with nickel azo yellow. It stays warm and earthy. Wow, this is really beautiful. And then I'll do a different mix using always PY129. Azomethine green yellow, azo green yellow, which is, you see, it looks very dark in the pan, but then it dilutes into a clean greenish yellow. It's an earthy tone. You see, I just want to show the diluted version, but the fact that there is a touch of green makes it even more earthy once you mix it with the red color. And this is Quinacridone Magenta. This is Quinacridone Magenta by Windsor and Newton. Let's see if I have made a good guess with the ratio. Let's see what happens. Too much magenta maybe. And now we let this dry, and this is really beautiful. I will go down so I can wash it down so that we can see it in a more diluted version, because I have put too much pigment here. Okay, we let this dry. Oh, that's great. Now they're dry. These colors are dry. And we can draw our final conclusion. So here we have the Della Magna, the original PY129. And here we have the different mixes that I have made myself using the pre-mixes used by different brands. These are not the brands, are my own mixes. So I would say that the main difference between the original Quin Gold and some of these mixes is that PY150 gives a slight cool acid taste to the mix that the original Quin Gold doesn't have. It just washes down to a very earthy, pleasant, muted yellow, not a cool yellow. Whereas you see, for instance, here where you mix a PY150 with PY48, that you get a wash that is very, very cool. But some of these mixes are really nice. For instance, this first one by Sennelier is PR101, I made plenty of mistakes, PY150 and PR206, and the PR206, I think it adds a warmth to the mix that can work very well. Of all the premixes, I can say that all the premixes that use PY150, this one, PR101, PY150 and PR206 are the best. Unfortunately, PR206 is going out of market, so we might try with the Perilene Maroon PR179. I'll take my Windsor and Newton Perilene Maroon from my studio palette. I'll start with my usual Nichelazo yellow. Then a touch of Windsor and Newton burnt sienna. This is beautiful burnt sienna, by the way. And this is the formulation used by Schmincke. But the difference with Sennelier is that they use PR206, and I'm putting PR179, which is Perilene Maroon, which in the future I think will be the most common replacement for PR206. Because this is not possible to use it in the future, because PR206, unless you have stocked a good quantity, is really out of market. And Windsor and Newton, for instance, is already selling a new brown madder, you see, with PR179 instead of PR206. But in the meantime, we can watch, now they dry, the two mixes that I've done with this Azzo Green Yellow PY121, and I think that this is really nice. This one with the burnt sienna made with PR101. Of course, you can experiment and mix it with PBR7. You can do all the mixes that you like. But this one, burnt sienna by Windsor and Newton, PR101, and Azure Green Yellow is really a good replacement for Quin Gold. Having said this, Quin Gold is irreplaceable in its original genuine hue. This is something that's very difficult to recreate, but you can play around just as I did, and you can try these formulas that a few followers have suggested to me, especially a watercolorist. First, he was the first, and then Creative Colors. But I'm very curious to know, what is your formula to replace Quinacridone Gold? That would be very interesting. Do you mix your own Quinacridone Gold, or do you go with a convenience mix? I think that I will try this mix in the future. Okay, now this is also dry, and this is PR101 plus PY150 plus PR179 Perilene Maroon, and I don't reach the same intensity that I had with Quinacridone Maroon PR206, but maybe you can play around and see if you can reach this intensity with PR179. Okay, so there are plenty of different ideas for mixing Quinacridone Golds. There is not one size fits all. And what's your formula for this? I'm very curious to know. Which one do you prefer of all these mixes? I hope, as usual, that my camera could capture the beauty of the genuine pigment as well as some of these mixes. I also like the PO48 P150. It's very beautiful hue, but it's very different from the original PO49. It's different. It's more vibrant. This is more muted. I think that the Sennelier mix is very nice, and this one. So I would say that the winners for me are the Sennelier mix and this one by a follower, PY129 plus burnt sienna. And okay, that was great. Thanks for having watched this video with me. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did so, you can always give me a thumb up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can do it now so you won't lose my next videos. Please do comment your experience with Quinacridone Gold mixes. Ciao, ciao. Thank you. Ciao.